Okay, in Gdevelop, condition as well as an action is an event. What we want to do is left click and make sure we have this blue outline around our event. You can tell that the event is clicked on by the fact that this blue line is here. With this blue line being here, we want to go to not the first button to the left, but the next button to the right, where this says add a sub event to the selected event. So we're going to left click there. Now we can see this indented sub event added to our event here. Okay, so basically what we have set up is we're saying, look, when our character is moving, we want you to do something, right? That's what we're going to do with this sub event. So I'm going to left click on add condition. And then what I'm going to look for is keyboard. So I'm going to left click on keyboard. I'm going to select key pressed. And then I'm going to go to the upper right. I'm going to hold shift, type in L, then type in EFT. I'm going to left click on left. Then I'm going to click OK. Okay, like I had mentioned before, I have another tutorial on this that gets into more detail on this. We're going to go through this fairly quickly as far as setting up the player, since the main purpose of this tutorial is showing you how to set up an easy isometric background. So what we're going to do right here with this left key is pressed, we want something to happen. What we want to happen is for an animation to show. So we're going to click Add Animation. We're going to select Sprite. We're going to select animations and images. Then we're going to select change the animation. So we're going to select player. For this modification sign, we're going to click here. We're going to set equals. And then for this setting here, we're going to set this to 1. Then we're going to click OK. Okay, there's multiple ways of setting up animations in Gdevelop. We chose change the animation. The animation that we chose basically works by Gdevelop knows that 1 equals left, 2 equals right, 3 equals up, and 4 equals down. So that's what this 1 is saying. This 1 is saying pick that animation that's in the 1 position, which is going to show our character going to the left, which makes sense since the key that we have to activate that animation is the left key. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to left click so this gray is highlighted. So I didn't click yet. I'm hovered over here. I'm going to left click once. So this blue line is going around. This left key is pressed. I'm going to right click, select copy, and then I'm going to hover over this condition. This is a condition in the same sub event. Okay, so I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to select paste. And then we have another condition in the same sub event. I'm hovered over this. I'm going to right click. I'm then going to select paste. Okay, what's going on here is when the left key is pressed, we want the animation that's in the position 1 to activate. We're going to set these keys up so that when these keys are pressed, nothing happens. If we didn't do this, when we pressed diagonal as our character is moving around the environment, our character would slide diagonally without showing an animation. So what we're going to do is double click to go in here. We're going to change this to up, capital U, P. We're then going to set this for inverse condition. We're then going to click OK. And then we're going to double click here. We're going to change this to down. That's capital D. And then we're going to set this to inverse condition and then click OK. Okay, what we're about to do now is, for the sake of speed, we're going to left click here on our event. So this is sub events, this is events. With this clicked on, we can tell this is clicked on because it has a blue outline around it, but there's no blue outline here, right? So with this clicked on, we're going to go to our add sub event button. That's the one to the it's a sub event button. So we're going to click plus, and then plus to add these other sub events. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to left click so that this sub event is highlighted, and with this sub event highlighted, we're going to right click, and after right clicking, we're going to select copy. Then we're going to left click on this sub event, right click, then select paste. Right click, select paste, then right click and then select paste. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to have this say right. So we can left click here and change this without actually going into settings to right. This needs to be up, so we can do the same thing. Capital U, up. This needs to be down, same thing. Okay, so now that we have this set up, we need to have these set up. So this where it says up, down, that's correct. For this, it's not correct here. So for this, this needs to be left. This needs to be right. Same thing for this. This needs to be left. This needs to be right. Okay, so what we just did was we said when left is pressed, activate this, but not when these buttons are pressed. Don't activate anything. Right's pressed. We need to set this up. So to set this up, this needs to show animation 2. So we can click here, change this to 2. For when up is pressed, this needs to be 3. And what these numbers are going along with is the order that we put the animations in. Gdevelop knows that the order for 1, 2, and 3, like what they should be. So when down key is pressed, this needs to be 4. Okay, with all that set up, we should be able to click our preview button. And when we set our character to walk, you can see that our character is walking in the direction that they should be walking in. Now our character does not go back to an idle animation, and we need to set that up. Okay, to set up our idle animation, what we're going to do is left click here on the event. We're going to go to this button here to the upper right. We're going to select add a new empty event. So then we're going to click add condition. We're going to look for top down behavior or top down movement. So top down movement is what you want to look for. Left click there. Then you're going to left click on is moving. The player is what we're working with, right? And then for this condition, we want this to be when the player isn't moving. So we're going to left click on invert condition. And then we're going to select OK. Okay, for this event, which I just clicked on to select this, we're not going to need any button to have anything activate. We just want when our player is not moving for our player to show the idle pose. So what we're going to do is we're going to click add action, sprite, animations and images, change the animation, player. We're going to set this to equals. And then for this setting, we're going to choose 0 and then click OK. Okay, so why did we pick 0? We picked 0 because 0 is the where our idle animation is located at. So when we click the preview button here, you can see that when our character is not moving, our character is in their idle animation. Idle pose. So I can go diagonal, I can go left, right, down, up. Then when I stop, our character goes back to their idle pose. Okay, what we're going to do now is click on New Scene. We're going to look to our right. We're going to click this plus button to the right. We're going to click Sprite. We're about to bring in our background picture, so we're going to name this BG. We're going to click the plus button to the right. We have 9 pictures to bring in, so we're going to look to the right. We're going to click this 8 more times. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what's going on here is each picture that makes up our one background picture is a separate animation. That animation will be composed of one picture. So what we're going to do is click plus, and we're just going to bring in those pictures one at a time. So each picture is an animation. So this is 4. This is 5. This is 6. This is 7. This is 8. This is 9. Okay, I'm going to click apply. Okay, I came out just so I could save this. I'm going to double click. We don't. This is good for what we have here. We should be. Oh, wait a second. Okay, what we're going to do is just name this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can see that these don't match up with the animations. I just chose to go through in that way. It should be fine. As far as I know, it does not matter. You can name these what you want, name them numbers, or put whatever names that you want to these. Okay, so if you're like, why break up these images? Why not just bring them in as one picture, put them on the background? Just to make, we're doing this to make things easier for the game engine that we're using, which is Gdevelop. I would recommend whatever game engine that you're using, you do a similar thing if you're bringing in one picture as a background. It's just a technique to, so now Gdevelop has to load each little picture rather than a big picture. And suppose we wanted a large picture of a large portion of the city. We could bring in a fairly large area of the city and not be concerned about the game engine taking a while to load the image in, because it's only loading in the individual pictures of that make up that image. Okay, for now we're going to click on our player character, pull them to the side. We're going to click on our background image. We're going to left click and drag this out. So here is that picture right there. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. Okay, so what's going on here is we have our background image. Now in this background image, it has all of the other images as an animation. So how are we going to, work with this? Like, because if I pull out another picture, it's going to be the same thing as this. And I can show you, like, if I well, actually, let me do this first. To make this easier, you're going to look to your upper right. You're going to look to where you see toggle/edit grid. You're going to left click, and then you're going to select show grid. This grid is going to make things easier for you as far as matching up each of your different individual images and then putting them together as the one background picture.